All right, we are the biblical Hebrew Israelites, and we want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahawashi, Ba'Shem, Ha, Rakah, Quadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of great millstone, which taught us the truth, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure into the end. Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, today we're going to go into Revelation 13, Daniel 7, and we're going to actually hit a couple precepts in a couple other areas. And the next main chapter we'll go into is Daniel 2. All right, but it's to get the breakdown of the Revelation 13. Okay, so go ahead and whoever got to read the first verse.
Okay. Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Okay, so this beast is talking about this here. Okay, this is the vision that John the Revelator, which was on the island of Patmos, had. You brothers seen this before, right?
Yeah.
Good at download this image in your phone, all right? So you have it. All right, the 7 heads. German, one of the heads is, I'll start with the Greeks, Romans, you had the Spanish, the French, the British, and then the 2 Germanys, Germania Major, Germania Minor, and America is the whore that rides the beast. All right, and the beast represents EU and NATO. All right, go one more verse on that, Revelation 13. And let me say too, the name of blasphemy is these names they call themselves. Okay, they call themselves white. They call themselves Greeks, which they are not. They call themselves British, which they are not. They call themselves German, which they are not. Spanish, they are not. French, Romans, they are not. They are the Edomites, which the Lord hates. Okay? And that's why it's blasphemy, because they're lying to the world saying that they are white.
Oh, Jews?
Right. Jews are Jewish, European. All that shit is blasphemy. They are the Edomite. Esau, Edom, and they are hated, which is in Romans 9:13, Malachi chapter 1. All right, the Lord hates them. Okay? Now go ahead and go into the second verse.
Okay. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear.
Okay, so the leopard is starting with the Greeks, okay, which we're going to go into the history of that. And it goes to Alexander the Greek, the first that ruled over Greece. And the feet of this beast is the feet of a bear, which is pertaining to Russia, which Russia is prophesied to destroy America. Okay? And they're going to shoot nuclear missiles on America. Go ahead.
And his mouth as the mouth of a lion.
Right. Which goes into Great Britain, which we can see what Great Britain is doing right now with Australia. They're pretty much the beginning.
They're the template for the New World Order.
For the New World Order, right.
They're already killing people, the police.
They said that's the example of the world.
Yeah, George Orwell said the vision of a future is a boot stomping on a human face forever.
Right.
That's what they want, but the Lord is going to bring it to an end.
Right. Go ahead.
And the dragon gave his power and his seat and great authority.
Right. Which they took this template of a system from Rome. This is ancient Rome reincarnated. All right, which we're going to get in Daniel 7. You want to read Daniel 7 now?
Yeah, this is, start at 1?
Yeah.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had dreamed and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night And behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea.
Which that great sea is pertaining to the Mediterranean Sea.
And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another.
So all these beasts are going to be different one from another, which is pertaining to a kingdom. Alright? Go ahead.
And the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings.
Right? So that goes to the Babylonian Assyrian Empire. Alright?
I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man.
Right. Once again, the Assyrians were swallowed up by the Babylonians, but at the end, it was the Assyrians that were actually ruling. Okay? Because, go to, I'll just get it, brother. It's Genesis 10, verse 8. It says, and Cush, which is a son of Ham, which are the Ethiopians today, begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before Yahweh. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel. So Babylonians were what? Hamites first. Alright? And then, like I said, it was given the wisdom of a man.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
made to stand up.
right, which Nebuchadnezzar. Alright? Which was the Assyrian. Alright? Because it tells you that with the Salmon. Let me get it. Let's get the first. We'll get the. Assyrian. Take off the web. It's freezing up. All right. Assyrian lion. Let's see if it pulls it up like that. No. Assyrian. There's another name for him. I don't remember the name though. It's like Gargamel or something like that. Something like that. But either way, it's Babylon. It's a symbol of Babylon, right? And what it is that's that lion with wings.
Mm.
A
And
gargoyle or something.
yeah, it was.
I forgot what it's called.
That's actually, of course. Salakia, the works of Satan. Alright. But the Assyrians had this statue, which you could see it in different places that show the Assyrian kingdom. And it was a lion. I've seen it as a cow, as a horse.
Assyrian lion.
And it had the head of a man and wings.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get it?
I'm not sure. Let me see. It's loading up though.
Yeah, we're
But
getting.
you can look at that one.
Yeah, that's it right there. Let me put images. Oh yeah, there's a perfect one. There you go. That's what it's describing in the Bible. Read that verse. Verse 4.
And the first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man.
Right, so it was given to the Assyrians now.
And a man's heart was given to it.
Right, much wisdom.
And
Which was Nebuchadnezzar.
and behold, another beast, a second like to a bear.
Which I believe it's in Daniel 2. Let me see. Where it tells the king Daniel when he was interpreting the dream of Nebuchadnezzar the king, he told him that it was him, that golden head. Alright? It says, let me see. Go ahead.
And it had raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh.
Which is that Medo-Persian. The 2 arms. Alright? And as I said, it raised itself up on one side. The Persians were stronger. Alright? And they devoured much flesh. Starting with Belshazzar, which is in Daniel 5. You grab that, the last 2 verses since you're right there.
Daniel 5?
Yeah.
And the last 2?
Mm-hmm.
Daniel chapter 5 verse 30. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old.
Oh, here it is. This is Daniel chapter 2, verse, I'll start at 30. It says, But as for me, this secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living, but for their sakes that shall make known the interpretation to the king, and that thou mightest know the thoughts of thy heart. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. And this is Daniel breaking down the dream for Nebuchadnezzar. It was his dream, Nebuchadnezzar's dream. It says, This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. And what image is he talking about? He's talking about this image right here. Okay? It says, This image was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his first part of iron and of clay, and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Now, verse 36, it says, This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, which he's talking to Nebuchadnezzar, art a king of kings. For the power of heaven, which is our Father Yahweh, have given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the sons of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. So that head of gold represents the Assyrian Nebuchadnezzar. Okay? Which his father was Shalmaneser. Let's see. Oh, I know what I gotta do. I gotta reset the settings. Let me see your phone real quick.
Okay.
Since you're already set up. So I can pull that up. I can't remember if it's, I know it's 2 Kings. But it's
S A space N A R search.
No, I didn't pull it up.
I went to Google on that one.
Yeah. Let me
What is this?
Shalmaneser.
Shalmaneser?
Yeah. It might, if you go to the blue letter, it'll probably pull it up like that. But I just gotta reset these real quick. Because that's his father, just to show that he's a Assyrian. Okay.
Shalmaneser.
Or Shalmaneser.
S.
Shalmaneser, king of Babylon. Let's see. Let me just see Second Kings. Let me try to find it. I think it's verse 11. Through the Spirit, that's what I'm getting. Or chapter 11. Second Kings chapter 11. What was you reading at?
Daniel chapter 7 and now verse 5. I just read.
Okay, go ahead.
Verse 6 now.
Yeah.
After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
Alright, and that was the Greeks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what are the 4 heads?
The 4 generals.
Right, what you get in the
Apocrypha.
Apocrypha First Maccabees. You got that?
I can get it.
You're gonna get that.
Maccabees 1.
Let me see your phone real quick. I'm gonna just restart mine.
Okay.
Was it Maccabees 1 and 1? Or?
Yeah, you can start at 1 and 1.
Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth.
Right, so he's that leopard, alright? And when he dies, go ahead.
And went through the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up, and he greatly and mightily strong host, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him.
There you go, yo.
And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive.
Right. So he parted it with these 4 generals, right? The 4 kingdoms. That's why the leopard had 4 heads, and then it had 4 wings. Read that verse in.
This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 6. And after this, Salakia, after this, I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
Right. Which, when you go into Daniel 7, they have that image of the leopard, which Alexander is the leopard. 4 heads, those are the 4 generals, and then the 4 wings is him dividing his kingdom up into those 4 kingdoms. Because those generals, it tells you in Daniel 8, that when they built up their kingdom, it wasn't in the way of...
Yeah, it was like Rome.
Yeah. But, hold that real quick, so we could move on past this point. I just want to make the point that Nebuchadnezzar, alright, you gotta remember, it was the Babylonians that absorbed the Assyrians. The Assyrians were ruling, alright, when Nebuchadnezzar was Assyrian. Alright, it says right here, which his father was Shalmaneser, And it says in 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 2, and he did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria. So the Lord set up these heathen to come up against the Israelites when they were in sin. Alright, starting with, we went into slavery under the Egyptians. Alright, which, remember, they were Ham. Babylon was created by Ham. Alright, set up by Ham, starting with Nimrod. And then it was taken by the Assyrian. Alright, which were absorbed by the Babylonians. And then the Medes and the Persians. Alright, which you read was that bear. Alright, and then the Greeks. The Greeks is the leopard, 4 heads, and 4 wings on its back of a fowl. Alright, so now that we're in that part, those 4 wings, alright, the 4 head is the 4 generals. Go ahead, brother, read that.
Maccabees?
Yeah.
First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them. Many years and evils were multiplied in the earth, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Ephesians.
Antiochus Epiphanes. Can't remember how you. Epiphanes.
Epiphanes.
Is it? We just said it today. We'll go over this quite a bit. Antiochus. Let's see. What verse?
10.
10. Epiphanes. Antiochus Epiphanes. That's it. Epiphanes. Salakia. Yeah. Epiphanes. The PH is a F. Epiphanes.
Son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome. And they reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen.
So once again, these heathen were lifted up to come up against Israel, which the Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which been scattered in slavery. Alright, all these heathens' kingdoms were set up to punish the Israelites. Alright? Now, those Greek generals, I want to get this here. In Daniel's 8, verse, we'll start at verse 21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, which you got. The first king of Grecia is Alexander the Greek. Before that, they were Macedonians. That's why you know they've always been changing their name from Edom.
White man.
It says, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king, which is Alexander. Now, that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, so you had Alexander, and he had one kingdom. He had all the kingdoms as his, one kingdom. Alright? But when he died, it was deferred. It was given to those 4 generals.
4 main ones.
Right. It says, now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation. So now instead of 1 horn, 1 power, you got 4 generals ruling 4 kingdoms. Alright? And those 4 generals, let me see if my phone is working. are named. Let's see. I reset mine. Let me see. It should work. Because usually if I reset it, it usually works pretty good.
Oh.
But I don't
Yeah.
know if it's
Gotta reset.
yeah. It says, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. So not in the same power as Alexander the Greek, because it's under those different generals now. All right. Yeah. See, it's still not working. Let me see your call.
Let's see. Yeah.
Stupid phone. Freaking Satan fucking around. It says, alright, the successor, however, there were actually 4 generals who succeeded Alexander. Antigus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Seleucus, or Seleucus. Alright? Alright, and they divided his kingdom into pretty much 4 kingdoms.
4 kingdoms.
All right, those are the 4 wings. Oh, let me grab the image of that. Here we go. This is what you usually see when the so-called Christians try to show you it. All right, but they can't break it down for you, you know, because it was only given to the prophets, and that's what we're doing right now.
Yep.
And these beasts in Daniel 7. Let's see, Daniel 7 beasts. Alright. There you go. See the signs? Okay. Alright, so what was that?
Nebuchadnezzar.
Right, which the Babylonians were Ham.
Yeah.
And then they absorbed the Assyrian, which you get Nebuchadnezzar. Alright, the son of Shalmaneser. And then his son was the one that Daniel was prophesying under, Belshazzar. And he's the one that was destroyed by Darius the king, the Persian. Or, I'm sorry, the Median.
Yeah, right here.
The Mede.
The Median took the kingdom. This is Daniel 5 and verse 20, or 5 and verse 30. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old.
Right. So then, that's the 2 arms. Mede is 1 arm. The Persian, which we got, he raised himself up on the other arm. Being the Persians were stronger than the Mede. Now we're in the
Medes
Greeks.
were the first, and the Persians were the second.
Right. And now we're talking about the Greeks, which the Greeks had the leopard, which was Alexander. He was that horn, which was his 1 kingdom. It was broken up into 4 under his 4 generals. Alright, now I'm in Daniel 8, verse 22. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. Alright, now you call read Daniel 11.
Okay. Daniel 11, verse 1.
You can start at verse 1.
Daniel 11, verse 1. Also I, in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I stood to confirm and to strengthen him. And now will I shew thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, And the fourth shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia.
Right, which is the Greeks. But who was that Persian king? The husband of Esther, Xerxes.
Xerxes?
Which you see this war in the movie 300. Xerxes coming against the Grecians.
Oh yeah, Con.
Right? Go ahead.
And a mighty king shall stand up that shall rule with great dominion,
Which is Alexander.
and do according to his will. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken, and shall be divided toward the four winds of heaven.
Those are the four heads, those four generals, and the four wings, which is those four winds. Which he had, each of those generals weren't in agreement like Alexander's kingdom was. It was one. They divided, and they had their own. They wanted to set themselves up as king. That's why I said in First Maccabees, they all set crowns on their own head
And on their
sons. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Con. And not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion, which he ruled.
Right, because he gave leeway for the Israelites. Alexander the Greek.
Yeah, the apostle said that when he went into Jerusalem, he wouldn't mess with them
Right. Well, they showed him.
because he had respect for the priests.
Right, because he had a vision,
Con.
and they actually they showed him, you are this goat. And
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Con. For his kingdom shall be plucked up, even for others besides those.
Right. Which now we're gonna go into the Roman Empire. Go ahead, read that Daniel 7.
Daniel 7, and this is verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it.
Right. Which this Roman Empire, which is iron is stronger than gold, silver, or brass.
And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it.
Okay, so now the iron legs, the reason why they were so strong was they absorbed all the nations they conquered. Just like today, you could go into the United States military, which is the reincarnation of Rome, and they have East Indians, the Persians as soldiers, U.S. soldiers, Africans as soldiers. You have
I seen they used to have the show Gang Wars. They had the neo-Nazis in there, and they had gangbangers, Crips and Bloods in there.
right. They'll absorb anybody, and that's what the Romans did, and that was also their downfall because they were training